Hi, it's John Michael Kelly, and today I want to cover a topic that I know is important because I hear it all the time from from the athletes themselves, from coaches. Being a game coach myself, obviously I see it a lot, and coming through a big summer of softball, it would seem to be everywhere. If you're a sports parent watching this, or you're a coach who's a sports parent, or just a coach, even a player, it's good to be aware of this single thing, and I think it's the hardest thing a parent has to do. I went through it myself with my own daughter, and that is learning to let go. So many of you watching this video right now, maybe you still coach your daughter, or even if you have multiple kids, your son in a different sport. And that's one of the great parts about this great country of ours in the landscape of youth sports is how many parents do volunteer to coach. Whether you're a father or mother watching this, you're a coach, my hat's off to you, because I know how much time it takes and how hard it is to be out there giving your time and energy to the betterment of the kids you coach. So good for you. Now, as you probably know, I coach at the travel level, the highest level of travel softball in Southern California. And so often I see that transition that parents need to make to recognize, A, that at some point in time, you're probably better off letting somebody else coach your child. Now, that's a given that the coach that's going to be coaching your child, or the coaches, if it's an organization, are better than you are, And I had that problem myself letting go at the all-star level at the recreational softball, thinking I still knew more than the coaches. And then the last year my daughter was not coached by me at an all-star level at 10U. I did know more than they knew, so I'm just telling like it is. But there are many factors involved in your letting go, and I know how hard it is to do that. And kind of a litmus test for me, if you're moving your athlete from a recreational to a travel level, or even going from travel into a high school level, you ultimately have to let go. Let's talk first about travel. If you're in the wrong organization and you don't trust the coaches, then change organizations. But if you think you're in the right organization or the right team, you have to let the coaches do what you're paying them every month in dues to do. And if you don't trust them, then you should move. But I see parents that move from one team, the next team, the next team, the next team, and the parent behavior is the same. And so ultimately, if it's your oldest child, your only child, and I only have one child, so I went through this, the letting go part is hard because often we still see our kids being 8, 9, 10 years old, and we want so much to control their happiness, or we want so much to have them not experience pain. And let's face it, I think it goes without saying as parents that we tend to be a little bit myopic, meaning we tend to believe our kids are better than they really are most of the time, or at the very least, we have a hard time being objective in relationship to other kids on the team. And as a travel softball manager at the 18 level, the 16 level, I don't have a kid playing anymore. So I don't have a need to have a favorite of a child. I see all the kids equally and objectively, and I put the best lineup on the field that it's going to, require to win. Or more importantly, at the older levels, we move the lineup around based on the showcases and who's got college coaches there. At the younger ages, it's still about player development. So to want to always win, if you're a coach watching this and a sports parent, to want to just focus on a few kids and your kid being at the top of the pile in order to win, that isn't always the best strategy either. Because ultimately, here's how it plays out. Whether your kid is 6, 8, 10, 12, 14 years old, or even older, and you will know this if they're older, ultimately, you have to let the athlete succeed or fail on their own. If they aspire to play, college softball, or they aspire to play a professional sport, if they're in a different sport besides softball, they're going to have to earn it anyway. I talk to a lot of college coaches, and they all say the same thing. They're disappointed when the recruits get to campus and they somehow are surprised they have to earn their spot or they have to work hard. And that's one of the downsides of not letting go, is this sometimes obsession with wanting to control the outcome, control the environment. I got news for you. Your kid gets to college, you're not going to be able to control their environment, any of their environment, academically or athletically. Now let's talk about high school. You know, in all due respect, a lot of high school programs are not great. The coaches don't have a lot of background in coaching at a higher level. And out here in Southern California, not all, because there are some very fine coaches at the high school level. I'm not trying to dismiss that. But sometimes the coaching can be a little bit different at the high school level, and there's really nothing you're going to do at the high school level. I found out here at least that the high school coaches, from the athletic directors and the administrations, are very insulated and very isolated. You don't have much you can do to change that outcome. And here's really the biggest picture situation that you have to move to letting go on. And it's a process, I get that. And that is, you don't want to embarrass your kid. I've seen so often when parents are out there and they're trying to insert themselves into the decision-making process of who's playing, and they're constantly questioning the coach, or they're constantly questioning their own athlete after the game, trying to micromanage their game. All that does is sort of drive a wedge between you and your athlete, for sure between you and your coach and the team. And ultimately, it doesn't really do much good. If you've got a constructive comment to make, I get it. And as a coach, I'm always open to receiving those. But today in 2014, you know, the reality of it is there's a certain percentage of parents, I'd say it's probably an 80-20 rule. 20% of the parents just don't want to accept reality. They don't want to let go. They want to always be hovering, or they want to always be in the ear of the coach, or always be chirping at other parents behind the backstop or behind the bench in the stands, or chirping, you know, at their player constantly during the game, trying to instruct them. And this is so counterproductive to either undermine the coach of his or her team, or to stir the pot with the parents, which never helps in overall team chemistry. So the art of letting go, this video is part of an email I sent out. So I say in the email, the part of letting go, the hardest thing you have to do is to trust. To trust your athlete's good enough and that she's going to get to where she needs to get to. You know, if you did coach her when she's younger, you coach her now, ultimately she's going to grow more not feeling that mom or dad are there. You know, she's got to stand on her own 2 feet and his own 2 feet, and that's not always easy, I get it. But ultimately, that's the challenge for you as a sports parent. The hardest thing to do is to let go. And believe me, when you finally do that, it's actually fun to sit back and watch a ball game and not have to be involved. I mean, to me, the most fun part as a coach was the day my daughter stopped playing or I stopped coaching her. You know, I actually had fun in high school watching her play and not be her coach, because I could just sit back and enjoy the entire game and enjoy the entire team and enjoy watching the other team and watching things and talking to parents and not having to control everything, not having to take it so personally. You know, how my daughter was being played or how she did or how she stacked up against the other players on the team. You know, there's a lot of energy you expend, and most of that energy is negative, really, or it's fearful energy. So when you can finally let go of that and allow your child to grow up and allow her to stand on her own 2 feet, you'll find that you enjoy the game a lot more, and so will your athlete. So from somebody who's been through it and now coaches at the highest level, let go and let your kids' coaches develop her and let her stand on her own 2 feet and enjoy her game. You will be glad you did. I'm John Michael Kelly. Thanks again for watching.